back, you filthy animal. What's up?
Hook surgeries on that. If you clicked on this
Oh
video,
my gosh.
then you saw the thumbnail.
Hey man,
That might be our best thumbnail work.
I ain't gonna lie. I was a little bit nervous.
Yeah.
Because
there was a lot of hook right near your face, and I was holding on to a 7/8 heavy rod trying to bow it up.
And there was a lot of quick twitch motions that had to kind of go down.
Yeah, YouTube only gives you 3 seconds to take your thumbnail. So we were having to push the thumbnail button, then get in position in 3 seconds, and I was basically setting the hook on my boy.
Yeah.
It was pretty a little bit of nerves, a little bit of nerves.
He caught the tater.
He caught the tater. That's right. We got a few jumping in. Hey, we're back. It's been a couple weeks since we did the podcast, but here we are back again. And right on time, we got the Lake Fork Bassmaster Elite Series. We're going to preview that, go in depth about the conditions, what we think is going to happen, kind of what we can look forward to. Definitely look forward to this week. There's also an election going on this week.
There is. Hey.
If you're going out to vote for Joe Biden, get the hell off this channel right now.
Bye-bye.
Period. Bye. Don't need you. Don't want you. See ya. Like, listen, I appreciate it. You have every right to your right to vote for whoever you want to vote for.
You have every right to wrongfully vote if you want to.
I have the right to not like you very much for it.
You can make a bad vote if you want to. Like, that is your...
And I can choose to really not want to be around you.
Like the Trump train rolling
There's
in.
all kinds of Trump.
Yeah.
Let's go get more comments. We probably just got demonetized. My channel might have just got deleted. I don't know.
What's that they say? Demonetized.
Yeah, that's it. We got a bunch of folks jumping here. Kevin Jones, Jack Attack, Ronnie Green, Gary Kane, Big John's Life.
Any beavers lately?
Jason Crawford, Andrew Alphabet, ready to sling them big swim baits. It's time, brother. It's time. Jack Attack, Kevin Jones, Bob Davis. Awesome, man. Hey, thank all you guys for joining us tonight. Like we said, Bassmaster Elite Series coming up on Lake Fork. We're going to preview that. We're going to talk. The Opens have gotten interesting.
They have.
The Opens have gotten interesting. We might not get any of the FLW guys into the Bassmaster Elite Series next year. We're going to talk about that. There's a lot of stuff going on in that deal too.
Career changes abound.
What's that last segment we're doing? What's it called?
It's called Did He Do It?
Did he do it? And it's going to be...
It could be interesting.
It'll definitely be interesting.
For sure.
And it'll definitely have your belly chuckling a little bit. You get a belly laugh.
On the Elite Series preview, you might get to see me and Billy argue because we just did it in there when we were talking about it.
We did. When we were doing prep, when we were kind of going over the topics we were going to talk about tonight, we were literally arguing in there. So
it was fun. So, anyways, let's jump into some current conditions unless you want to give a few more shout-outs.
Yeah, we just got Daniel Johnson's in here. Did I do it?
Did I do it?
Daniel Johnson says, hey, I'm going to be a judge / marshal for the video for you. That's right. The best. We can go ahead and talk about the current conditions and the Lake Fork preview kind of going to go hand in hand tonight. So with the Bassmaster Elite Series, this is their Toyota Texas Fest, and they do weigh the fish in the boat. They get to weigh all the slot fish, and each boat does have a marshal / judge, and apparently Mr. Daniel Johnson, who watches his channel, is going to be one of them.
That's awesome, man.
That is awesome. That's going to be a special treat. You probably don't know who you're drawing yet, I'm assuming, but
I still wouldn't be able to sleep the night before.
That'd be pretty cool. Big John said he's on Caddo this week, boy. It's going to be some of the greatest fall weather we'll experience all year will occur this week. And Lake Caddo is one of the best places to spend a beautiful day on. It is probably the most scenic, beautiful lake in our region.
Mr. Johnson said not a clue yet.
And yeah, Lake Caddo, that's a good call, man. I ain't mad at you, not one bit. Now, I will be on Lake Fork this week because the Bassmaster's coming in town, and I want to go out there and see if I can harass Rick Clunn and maybe sneak a snip off his rat tail and tape it to the back of my head, see if it brings me good luck.
See, and look, I'm going to tell you something right now. Billy shot my dreams down earlier because I had this whole thing planned out. I was gonna be Billy's customer for the day, and we're going to pull up next to Rick Clunn, and I was just going to jump in his boat and be like, all right, babe, I'm your co-angler today. I don't know if they let you know, but what we throwing?
And what I informed Chris of was you don't stay in the game as competitive as long as Mr. Clunn has without taking it pretty darn serious. And I'm pretty sure that Rick Clunn would have some 4-letter verbiage for you if you did that.
Come on, Tim Rhodes.
Tim Rhodes in the house? Tim Rhodes caught his first DD at Caddo back in the day. That's not recent. Like, no, he's caught plenty of DDs.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought he was saying recently.
No, that's not like his first and only one. No, he's caught plenty of DDs. He just said he caught his first one on
Caddo.
Jack Attack wants to know, how has my Lowrance trolling motor held up? Our old Trex got fried on fork today. I cannot recommend the Lowrance trolling motor enough. Straight up, like it was. It's lived up to the hype and then some. It has been very, very durable. It doesn't have anything loose on it. Nothing. I haven't even had to touch a screw on that thing. Not one bolt, nothing. It's a little bit stronger, a little bit more powerful than my Ultrex was. It's certainly significantly quieter than my Ultrex was. It's a little bit nicer in every way. It has that landing assist when it goes down. It sets in place nice and easy. It's got the automatic correcting head when you go to rack it. Just a lot of upgrades. It's a little bit better than Ultrex in every way almost. And yeah, I would highly recommend that Lorraine motor. It's amazing.
That automatic correcting head.
It's pretty cool.
It's wonders in itself because I've almost fallen out of the boat trying to.
Timmy says that was 1997. Like, when you were born.
That's cool. I was in third grade, Tim. I was in third grade.
Were you even in third grade by then?
I was born in '89. So, yeah.
I guess so. All right, hey, let's get on topic, man. Let's talk about the Bassmaster Elite Series and what we got going on. So, what we had last week was we had probably the worst weather week of the entire year. I mean, water temperatures literally dropped 10 degrees throughout the week. We had 4 or 5 days in a row, zero sunshine, zero. Plenty of cold rain, not any like crazy downpours.
It was damn cold too with the
but
wind.
Lots of steady cold rain, lots of cold wind north, a lot of hard north winds, cold water, cold temperatures. I mean, yeah, the water temps fell over 10 degrees in a week, in a few days, really. And then Friday we got a little sunshine. Saturday we had a beautiful day. Sunday today was a beautiful day. And what's really cool is now the water's down into the 60s, which isn't a bad water temp.
Right.
It's just when that first happens, it shocks them a little bit.
Right.
But for these guys coming here for this Elite Series event, they're going to have a lot of stability. It's basically going to be a high of 72 and a low of 52 on every day, except the final morning on Sunday morning, it's going to be a low of 58 going in that morning. But again, the high is around 72 degrees. I mean, 72 degrees every day for a high.
And like you've said many times in the past, consistency in weather is a big, big factor.
Having that stability, letting that water column stabilize. I mean, this is going to be the best weather conditions week for fishing of the fall. And they're coming here after several days of stabilizing, and it's going to continue to stabilize that much more throughout the tournament. The bite for the Bassmaster Elite Series should be a good fall bite. It really should. Now, what I will say is something that we have kind of been all learning as bass fishing fans the last month or two. Fall's a different animal. If you look at the lakes they've gone to, Santee Cooper is a tremendous trophy bass fishery. Chickamauga is unbelievable trophy bass fishery. Cherokee Lake, where they just had to open, ain't bad. And on all these lakes, these guys are just struggle busting. I mean, they're not breaking 50 pounds in 4 days.
Yeah.
It was 40 pounds for 3 days on Cherokee. It was, what did Lee end up with? You remember?
Man, if you wouldn't ask me, I could have.
On Chickamauga, I know it was so he was in the 50s. He was like around that 12 or 13. He was around like that 13, 14. He was over 50, I believe, because he was sitting at 40-something going into the last day.
63.
It was like a mid-50s number. Anyway, way below what you would expect on Chickamauga for a Bassmaster Elite Series event. So I don't know that we're going to see what we normally see when those guys come here in May. Obviously, fishing is not going to be as good as it is in May. May is probably the best month of the entire year. And April and March are really good and all that stuff. And the fish are heavier then. The fish are heavier then. The fish don't weigh as much right now. Now, if we were to have this tournament in late December or January, the fish would be back to gaining weight and weighing a lot and starting to get to their heaviest weights of the year. But we are where we are.
We are.
And it is what it is, as they say.
And it ain't what it ain't.
Yeah, that saying does kind of annoy me sometimes. But it is. It is what it is. And I don't know that these guys, even with the good, stable weather, I don't know that these guys are just going to go out there and show out like they normally do at a Lake Fork Bassmaster Elite Series tournament. I just don't think they will. I think that they will catch numbers of fish. I think they will catch plenty of fish. But I don't think we're going to see a 30-pound bag average win it for 4 days. We're not going to see 120 pounds. I don't think we're going to see 110 pounds. I don't think we're going to see 100 pounds. Honestly, I really don't. I honestly think the winning weight is going to be around 80 pounds, 75, 80 pounds. Now, that's a 20-pound day average. That's really good. And it's a hell of a lot better than these other lakes we've been seeing on fish that have produced in the fall.
So 58.2 was Lee's, and that was the highest this fall.
That was the highest on Chickamauga. See, I think we're going to beat that. I think we're going to be around 75 to 80. But 20 pounds a day isn't bad.
Right.
That's not bad. And like I said, it's a lot better. And I think there's another factor to this deal. And I know, I'm very aware that I'm nowhere near the fishing capabilities of the guys on the Bassmaster Elite Series. So I'm not saying that I'm better than them in any way. But what I am telling you right now is I think there's a lot of those guys that are very unfamiliar with fishing these lakes in a tournament atmosphere in the fall. And I think that's part of the factor of what we're seeing with these low weights is not only fall weather and all that stuff. I think it is these guys don't know how to fish these lakes in the fall.
Right.
I don't think a lot of these guys that are full-time tour guys fish a lot in the fall.
Well, think about how many of them you know that jump in a deer stand.
Almost all of them.
Right.
Almost all of them.
So, I mean, it does make sense.
They go duck hunting and deer hunting. They all love to do. They're all outdoors and they love to do that stuff.
They're just like us.
And then especially to go out and fish it in tournament atmosphere, tournament situation. Man, they've been struggling, you know. And we said it was going to be. Now, I bet you this. I bet you, and hopefully it won't happen, you know. But I bet you if the next year we had more of these tournaments in the fall, they would get better.
Oh,
and then they would get better. Because these guys are some of the best in the world. Don't make no mistake about that.
I just like seeing a different dynamic to it because you're getting. I mean, you pretty much with every professional tournament series that you see put out, it's the same schedule just about every year until recently.
As far as the time of year,
Right.
for sure. They'll change the lakes up a little bit.
Right.
You know, a lot of the familiar lakes.
But you know what you're going to get for the most part. You can go into
Which I'm not mad at them. I want to see them
like it
fish. I want to see them fish the best lakes at the best times too.
Right,
Like that's
for
what we
sure.
all want to see.
We want to see big bags. We want to see giant bass. Like that's part of the sport. I get it. It's just like you go to Florida in February. You pretty much know what you're going to get.
Oh, they definitely tend to chase the spawn a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and that's great. Like I love it. But I like the way this year's panned out because you get to see a whole different side of the ball.
Yeah, and you know, I think, and I've kind of enjoyed seeing it too. It definitely is interesting. It's different, which that to me is good. I've enjoyed it. I know there's a lot of people that aren't enjoying watching them struggle.
Oh, no.
There's some people that aren't happy about watching these guys struggle for whatever reason. Like they don't like it, they don't enjoy it. They want to see them go to the best lakes at the best times and sack them up.
Sponsors ain't loving it, you know.
Right?
You know?
Right.
So,
Well, and then plus two, you're dealing with stupid football season, which I mean I'm not paying any attention to, but a lot of people are. You got football season, you got the kids started back in school.
Yep.
There's so many other things going on in the fall, right? That distract us from fishing. Hunting season.
Yep.
How many bass fishing fans or hunters that this weekend aren't going to be watching Bassmaster live because they're in a deer blind?
Oh, I can't tell you how many friends of mine alone are like, they'll call me and I'll be like, well, you got going on this weekend? Man, I can't decide whether I'm going to go jump in the boat or jump in the tree.
Yeah.
Like, and
and this is, you know, first week in November is always a big deal for deer season. And there's going to be probably the majority of bass fishing fans will be in a deer blind this weekend. And so there's definitely some guys that aren't enjoying the fall aspect.
That's right.
I'm bass fishing obsessed, and I'm a one-trick pony when it comes to that deal, so I love it.
I'd rather go fishing than hunting.
I'm going to fish every year during the fall, throughout the fall anyway, so it's really cool for me to see these guys tackle the lakes during the fall.
Yeah.
It has surprised me how much they've struggled.
I think it has and it hasn't to me because, again, there is that other factor of so many of them get in the deer stand. So many of them chase ducks.
Yeah.
So it doesn't surprise me.
But fall fishing isn't this bad.
No, it isn't.
It's not. Like, fall fishing's not this bad.
Dude, I'm going to go back to what I said at the beginning of this year when this year kind of started doing what 2020's done. These fish are tired of getting hooks in their face. I'm telling you, it has changed.
Well,
the bite has
the state
to
of
have
Texas
changed.
did set records, all-time records for fishing license sales.
I'm telling you, you cannot convince me enough that these fish that have been getting caught consistently on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, there's probably some
every single day since March.
I'll tell you something that was crazy when I was talking to Jake Norman, the Texas Commercial Wildlife biologist, doing that survey where they're tracking those fish. They had 23 fish in that program, and 11 of them have been caught in 6 months.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's
so
crazy numbers.
You extrapolate that and put it across the whole lake. That means like 45% of the fish in Lake Fork have been caught in the last 6 months.
That's right. Unheard of numbers. Like, think about that.
That's insane.
Did he say when the last year it got even close to that?
As far as license sales, no. I don't know. All I know is on that study, that's like 45% of those fish. And one of them got caught 3 times. And then he got caught 3 times and then died.
I mean, you catch me 3 times, I'm probably going to be on my last
like if
leg
an
too.
alien jerked you up off planet Earth 3 times in a week, you'd probably be like, I'm out, dog.
Yeah,
I'm out.
there's no soft landing. Like, I don't care. I don't care what you say. There's no soft landing.
No soft landing.
So, yeah.
Yeah, we don't live in water. That's a little different. That's a little different aspect for us, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, these front decks are padded, but they ain't that padded. You know what I'm saying? So, let's go.
Yeah. No, it's been a different. I mean, obviously it's been a crazy year, but I have, though. I've been shocked at how much they've struggled. Because fall fishing, yes, there are some of the toughest days of the year exist in the fall. And last week was a perfect example of that, of some of the toughest days. But, man, some of these tournaments that they fished haven't been under that tough of conditions for them to struggle the way they have. And I don't know if it's the unfamiliarity. Maybe some lakes do fish that tough in the fall. I know Luke Duncan had talked about before they got to Guntersville how, Tennessee River lakes in the fall, he was kind of predicting that they would struggle. So maybe those lakes do fish a little tougher in the fall.
Yeah.
Here in Texas, fall fishing's usually pretty good. Like, you'll have your really, really bad days. It kind of depends on which side of the cold front. I think we're going to catch them no matter what lake we go to, no matter if we want to fish shallow, if we want to fish deep.
Right.
Like, we should be able to kind of go around and catch them this week in real good fashion.
Yeah. Like a good pre-spawn situation.
Well, a good post spawn to me, more where you got both.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got shallow and deep, and you got fish feeding and schooling up in big schools. And they should be, after last week's cold front, they ought to be in huge groups at this point. And that's the other aspect of this tournament we need to discuss is how's it going to be won? Are they going to win it covering shallow flats and getting those bait chasers in the backs of creeks? Or is somebody going to pull out there and get less bites a day offshore, but get enough bites to win? Because some of the biggest fish in Lake Fork get in little mini groups offshore, and they get around massive amounts of life. Yellow bass, because the deal is the yellow bass, the baby crappie, the baby catfish, shad, all that stuff gets grouped up on these offshore structures in the fall, and the biggest numbers of the year, and you'll have these wolf packs of these like 5 to who knows how many pounders, and there may only be 3 to 8 of them in that group.
But you catch them all.
And they're out there picking off those bar fish and those baby crappie. Well, if somebody can go out and catch those fish and get 5 bites a day doing that, like that dude, he's gonna run away with it.
I wonder if a big swim bait could be a factor. Somebody finds the right bait.
Like on a big jig hit, or up shallow or deep?
Up shallow.
It could be. Like, listen, I've seen, last week nobody could see nothing because it was dark and raining every day.
No kidding.
But the week before that, I've seen plenty of the big gizzard shad really, really, really shallow. Really, really shallow.
Because Lake Fork has more grass this year than it has.
No. Lake Fork has less grass.
Less grass this year?
Less grass this year than the last couple of years.
So.
But certain areas do have grass.
Right.
But whether they have grass or not, the shad have pushed back into creeks.
Right.
This is one of those times of year. The springtime and then the peak of the fall, which is where we are now, is when the shad will be shallow and the bass will be shallow whether there's grass or not.
Right.
The grass holds the bass up shallow in better numbers in the summer and the winter when they're not supposed to necessarily be shallow. The grass will make them stay. So the more grass you have, the better they stay in kind of the off times of year. But in the spring and in fall, they're going to be shallow. There's going to be, and that's really the deal is, does it get one shallow or deep? Because I can tell you, there's a lot more fish up shallow right now than there is out deep. Bass. Yeah. There's a lot more largemouth bass on Lake Fork, very, very shallow, than there is deep. But those groups that exist out deep have a much bigger average size fish in it.
So is there a way for somebody to pattern these bigger gizzard shad in the fall to where they could mimic that pattern all over the lake and then run away with it? Or is everything just so
running away with it? No, not running away with it. The deal with the shallow fish, the offshore fish are good because there's less of them, but they get grouped up on a piece of structure.
Right.
And those shallow fish are very, normally throughout the year, the deep fish are more nomadic and the shallow fish are kind of residential. Right. But in the fall, it kind of flips. Gotcha. Because the shallow fish start chasing the bait all over the back of Glade and all over the back of Running Creek and all over the back of Dale and Birch and every creek they pull into, they kind of wander and move with the bait and they're kind of all over the place. Mm-hmm. So you could have a guy pull into an area one day and whack them, and then the next day go in there and he's got to re-find them. They're not there anymore because the bait moves, so the bass move. Mm-hmm. Especially with the sun and the 72-degree weather we're going to have this week. That bait fish is going to be rising high in the water column in that shallow water, and they're going to be wandering around all over the place with that sunshine and 72-degree weather. So if a guy can get 5 bites a day on a big swim bait up shallow, yeah, absolutely, he could have a great time. Mm-hmm. I think that's going to be harder to get 5 big bites in the fall. I mean, it's just there's a lot of inconsistencies. Whenever you look at when they go to one of these herring lakes, when they just get so locked in on following bait, a lot of times it's a struggle to find them day to day. And one guy might catch them today and not tomorrow. Right. Well, that's what all these lakes do in the fall in the shallow water. They get so locked in on bait fish that it brings a lot of randomness to their locations. And listen, there's nobody better in the world than these guys, but you got to put your foot down and fish. Right. You know, you got to go KVD mode and kind of move
So
around.
cover water is going to be the key.
Mhm.
Period.
Yeah, and I think a bait like a lipless crankbait or a square bill like a Movement 80X will be a great bait to throw this week out there.
Mm-hmm.
But a lipless crankbait, a shallow diving crankbait, a chatterbait, swim jig could be like those type of baits. To me, if a guy's going to win it shallow, that's how he's going to win it. It's going to be a shading, winding bait up shallow. You know, could it be a flipping deal or something? Yeah, of course it could, but I really think odds are if it's going to be one up shallow, it's going to be on a shad replicating winding bait that you can cover water.
Right.
I think that's going to be a key element.
And when you say shallow, 0 to 6,
I'm like 0 to 3.
got that.
4 or 5 tops.
Right.
I wouldn't even think about 6.
Okay.
Now deep is going to be around that 15 to 20, 22-ish range. And if somebody's going to catch them out deep, they're going to catch them maybe on a big spoon.
Mm-hmm.
An Alabama rig will. Oh, they can't throw an Alabama rig.
Curveball.
Oh, hey-yo. So, wow, that's like
That
maybe.
was one of the first things I thought about.
And that may be the best bait to throw offshore right now. It's an Alabama
certainly is
rig.
through the winter, too.
Yeah, and like a deep diving crankbait, a big flutter spoon, and somebody may be able to get them on a Carolina rig or a big swim bait on a jig head. Now that to me is where the big swim bait could be more in effect for this event is the offshore swim bait.
See,
The
'cause I was-
big swim
yeah.
bait, big 7-inch hollow belly, paddle tail type swim bait on like a 1-ounce jig head.
Right.
That to me could be more of a player.
Yeah, when I was saying big swim bait, I was thinking like shallow glide bait, something like that.
And it could happen. It could. I mean, that's the thing about all these fall tournaments. We just don't know.
So
we don't because we haven't seen them fish these type of. Hey, a frog could be the deal.
I mean, is that a deal where you go and you're in the tournament, you're out there fishing one day and you catch 15 pounds on your best 5, and then you break out that dang glide bait and just go to work, try and catch 10 pounds?
Well, the deal is the bait's so shallow. It's one of them deals. If you're out there in practice and you can find an area where you visibly can see those big gizzard shad, because you will. Like not last week, but the week before when we had sun, I was seeing in those areas I was fishing shallow, I would see these front deck of your boat size wads, balls of big shad the size of your hand, like cruising around under my boat when I scatter them up out of the grass or something. Yeah, if a guy sees that, then yeah, hey, fish whatever you got to fish to catch your limit, and then put a big bait in your hands the rest of the day and see what happens. Yeah, that could absolutely be a very, very good game plan, and it could be the winning game plan if they can find enough of those areas with those gizzard shad to hold enough fish to last the whole tournament.
Gotcha.
Managing their fish is going to be a big deal.
Right.
Not as big a deal in this, though, because it's catch and release, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they could theoretically catch the same school of fish and catch those fish day after day on some level. Odds are probably when they catch a fish one day, he's probably not going to bite the next. But some of them will. Yeah. Like the one in the program that got caught 3 times and died, right? They'll do it. They'll do it. So
we're going to call that one soft landing.
Yeah.
You want to answer some questions?
Yeah, we'll try to answer a couple questions here. Kip Wright says, man, I see those wolf packs swimming through from time to time on my live scope, crappie fishing, usually 5 to 7 pound, 5 to 7 big fish moving together on that deep timber. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And this time of year when those yellow bass and those little white bass and they get watered up by the thousands out there. And it's funny because you'll go out there and you'll see all those little fish on your graph. You know, the arcs are all grouped together. You can tell they're little fish. And I like taking my kids out there. They'll throw a jig and spoon and catch all the sand bass and yellow bass they want. And it's funny because you'll be out there when you're doing that and you'll see all those fish on your graph, or if you're fishing for them, you'll be catching them left and right, and then they just stop. And then you look at your graph and your graph's empty. And then about a minute later, here comes a big arc under your boat. And here comes another big arc under your boat. And it's funny. And then those big arcs will go away. And 5 minutes after that, here come the yellow bass and everything else back in there. So it's definitely a deal where those big wolf packs, just like Mr. Wright is talking about, wander in there, scatter those little fish around, and then hunt what they can, eat what they can, and then ease on off there. Yeah. And the guy that can stay out there on those areas and pound them, if there's a guy that can catch 5, that dude will win the tournament by a lot, I think. And then we might see the big bags that we're used to at Fork if that happens. But if you had to make me make a choice right now, I'm going to say this tournament will be one shallow, and it'll be one winding.
Chunk and wind.
Or a frog, because they've been biting a frog at Lake Fork pretty good here lately.
I ain't never thrown one of them. Is it fun?
Yeah, it's pretty fun. Yeah.
So I'm gonna go out on a limb here. You wanna make a pick?
Somebody just asked who's your top 3.
Well, I mean, I guess we gotta.
You know, the problem for me, there's a lot of guys on that Bassmaster Elite Series that I don't know anymore.
Right.
I mean, I'm gonna pick, but I'm literally picking from part of the field because I don't know some of those guys. But yeah, we can do a top 3.
So you want to start with your?
Yeah, Lee Livesey. He won
That's what I'm taking.
Lee Livesey. He won the last Elite Series event. Lake Fork's his home lake. I mean, I don't think anybody can pick against Lee right now. Now, I know Lee hadn't fished Lake Fork as much the last couple of years as he has in the past because he's been gone fishing the Elite Series a lot, especially here lately. He's been fishing the Opens and the Elites. Yeah. He hadn't been home in a while. But I have actually fished. Me and Lee have fished a lot of the same areas this time of year in years past. And some of those areas got them right now.
Well,
so I'm just a little insider information. Some of the areas that Lee Livesey likes to fish in October, November are holding some big ones right now. That's all I'm saying. Some of them big schools that give the shit I'm talking about, they were spots where I've seen Lee fish in the fall.
So I guess for argument's sake, to make it interesting, I'll pick a different winner. I mean, Lee Livesey's going to be in my top 3.
Of course, he should be.
So I'll go with Stetson, taking it home.
Stetson has got a lot of Lake Fork experience. I like that pick. That's a good that's a good pick.
That'll be the upset.
Has ran plenty of guide trips on Fork in his off time. He spends a lot of time down here. I don't think that's an upset. I think he's a great pick. Chris Aldane's my number 2.
Chris Aldane.
Another guy that spends a lot of time down here. Him and Lee are very good friends.
Not afraid to throw a big spoon.
And he spends a lot of time on Lake Fork, even when they're not having a tournament come up here. Yeah, and he'll throw. You want to talk about somebody that's gonna be throwing a big bait all week?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, do we remember the Bassmaster Classic?
He'll have a big swim bait and a big spoon on his deck. I guarantee it, Bo.
And I remember halfway through the Bassmaster Classic, it was halfway through the final day. He had like 1 fish. Yeah. And he had like 2 hours left to fish, and he said, "Hey man, I'm committed to it. I'm gonna live and die by it."
Yep.
So
all right. Well, who's your number 2?
My Lee Livesey's gonna be my number 2.
Lee Livesey's gonna be your number 2. Oh, so we can do that?
We can do it. Well, can we not?
Let's not do it just to make it more interesting. Okay. Just to make you work a little harder. We're both in agreement that Lee's a great pick.
Let's go with. I'm just thinking crankbait. So, what do you think about Keith Combs?
Yeah, I mean he's got a track record here, but at a different time of year, and I
I
haven't seen a lot of Keith Combs in Lake Fork outside of when they're fishing tournaments here. Honestly, a little bit I have, but not as much as I see other guys.
Let's just say the mid-depth crankbait is somehow he finds them on it.
Well, no, it'll be a 50. If Keith Combs is going to win it cranking, it's going to be in that 15 to 20. It's going to be a deep diving crankbait.
Right. So,
I just don't know. I think he's going to have to. I think if Keith Combs is going to win, I don't think he's going to get 5 bites a day on a crankbait. I don't think he's going to get the 5 right bites a day on a crankbait. I think he's going to have to throw something else too. I think he's going to have to throw a Carolina rig, a jig, a flutter spoon, a swim bait on a jig. He's going to have to do something like that.
Okay.
And have 2 or 3 techniques because those fish, remember, they got a lot of food to eat.
Yeah.
There's not all of them out there like there is in the summertime. Mm-hmm. And so you're going to have to do some different things to get enough bites.
Right.
You're going to have to appeal to different reactions in those fish to get enough bites, I think.
So I'm going Keith Combs. He's going to burn 5 tanks of gas, and he's going to throw the kitchen sink out. He's going to be moving and burning.
There you go. All right, so that's your number 2.
That's my 2.
Oh, who's number 3? Who's a really good frog fisherman on the Elite Series? Is Cajun Baby still on the Elite Series? He went to MLF, didn't he?
I think so.
Yeah, he went to MLF. That's the deal, man. I just don't know enough of these guys.
Yeah, I know who my number 3 is going to be.
Go ahead.
You want me to take my number 3?
Go ahead.
I'm going to take him from you.
Go ahead.
BP. Let's go.
Brandon Polnick?
He does well.
Never a bad pick anywhere.
No.
Never a bad pick. And he won the
He just got a W, yeah.
He won the tournament before, yeah.
So, yeah, BP.
Jake Whitaker
Yeah.
impressed me last week. Staying all week on that boat slip. Yep. Man, I've got to pick somebody else.
You want me to pull up
Is Carl Jakobsen? He's on the Elite Series.
Mm-hmm.
That's my number 3. He is a guy that spends time on Lake Fork. In fact, he called me one time. Carl Jakobsen called me one time. We had put out a big swim bait video recently or something, I guess, whenever he had come down. And he wasn't a tournament or anything. He was just down here fun fishing. Mm-hmm. And so he wasn't breaking any rules. There was no tournament. But he called me and was asking me about the big swim bait bite on Lake Fork. We had a really good conversation. And so I know he's got that swim bait deal in his mind. He's got that gizzard shad deal in his mind. And he's been known to go out and throw a big bait in these tournaments. He ain't scared to do it. So
he doesn't just catch them in smallmouth lakes, folks.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with Jakobsen. So my top three is going to be Lee Livesey, Chris Zaldane, and Jakobsen. And your top three is Blaylock.
Blaylock, Jesus. My mind just went blank. Help me out.
Well, I know you picked Brandon Paul in
I
that.
picked Brandon Polnick was my three. Keith Combs, man.
Keith Combs. Okay, Blaylock, Keith Combs, Brandon Polnick. Yeah, that's a really good 6
I mean,
fishermen.
Chances are.
That's a good 6 fishermen.
So let me ask you this. I wanted to bring this up.
There's somebody commenting about him right now. Carl the Aussie's not afraid to break out the glass. Yeah, perfect. Now here, go ahead, Chris.
Do you think punching will have anything to do with this tournament? Do you think you can get enough big bites punching the limited grass?
Not with the lake being low. I sure don't.
How low is the lake right now?
I don't know exactly. It was 2 foot low. It came up some last week. I don't know exactly what the number is, but it's not full. And
people in Dallas must need their water.
You know, the problem with that is, man, that one guy, he would have to have that deal. If somebody went out and did a punching deal, he would have to have that bite all to himself, where nobody else is doing it, because there's just not that many areas you can go get bit doing that right now. Yeah. There are some areas where you can, but there's not that many areas, and so he would have to be able to run all that water by himself.
So that's the 5 tanks of gas deal.
Maybe, yeah. Kyle Welcher, that's not a bad pick.
Oh, Welcher's a hammer, man.
Top 3 baits that will produce big bags, a 1-2 punch, if you will. Top 3 baits that will produce big bags. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to do 2 top 3 baits. We're going to do a top 3 baits for a guy fishing shallow and top 3 baits for a guy fishing deep. So for a guy fishing deep, for me, it's going to be a...
C19.
Yeah, no. For me, it's going to be a flutter spoon, a swim bait on a jig head, and a 3/4 ounce jig. That's my top 3 baits for deep fishing right now.
Okay.
Up shallow, it's going to be, man, it's hard to pick between a lipless crankbait and a square bill because it's going to depend on the cover in the area. But a shallow running crankbait.
Yeah, I think lipless or lip. I don't think it matters. You can
a shallow running crankbait.
Mm-hmm.
A
chatterbait.
Yes, a shallow running crankbait, a chatterbait, and a swim bait, a big one. Swim baits on both. It's fall. It's peak fall. Man, you can get a big bite on swim bait. You can get a group of big bites on a swim bait.
Right.
But yeah, shallow running crankbait, chatterbait, big swim bait, up shallow, flutter spoon, swim bait on the jig head, big one, and a 3/4 ounce jig out deep.
You left out the sea rig and the frog. I'm surprised.
Yeah, God dang it, dude! It's just fall, man.
I know. No, I know.
It's so hard to limit your baits, and do you realize when I go out right now, this time of year, I got like 18 rods out.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
For real.
Yeah.
Like for real.
So how far past that finesse jig bite are we?
We're not. It just got here.
It just got here.
Yeah, I mean that deal plays too.
Yeah.
That deal plays too right now.
So it's just you never know.
I don't know. Let me go fish Monday through Wednesday,
yeah.
and then I'll tell you a lot. I can tell you a lot better if you let me fish.
Yeah,
but let me go have my Elite Series practice.
Right. I know. But that's what's crazy about it.
Yeah.
Like we're all learning. We're all learning.
Yeah, buddy. We got Charlie Heron submitting some picks here. We got Keith Combs first, Brandon Polnick second, and whoever has the best mustache will get third throwing a frog.
It's a fighter to throw frog. We might.
Yeah. Which big swim bait would I throw? Ooh, yeah. Okay, so out deep, I'm going to throw a 7-inch hollow body or 6-inch hollow body. I would throw the Smash Tag one because it's more durable. Those guys will probably be throwing a Bass Tricks. In all honesty, they probably will be.
Mm-hmm.
I would throw a hollow body out deep. And up shallow, if I was going to throw one big bait, it'd be a Smash Tag Convict. 7-inch, weedless, slow rolling, paddle tail, big thump.
Dude, that Convict is still, it's still my favorite.
And listen, there's a few other ones that are like it. I know if Zaldane's fishing his, it's going to be a mega bass.
Mega bass, yeah.
It's going to be a big mega bass bait. So who knows which brand it'll be, but it'll be that. It'll be a 7-inch weedless, big wide tail wagon slow rolling type of big smooth.
Don't really gotta crank too hard on it to get the tail to wiggle. Slow presentation, big presentation.
Something you can fish slow that still creates a lot of water dispersion.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's what I would do. Man, we need to get on to the opens. Bust out some data. Let's move on to the opens. We talked for a long time about Lake Fork. Of course, that ain't a bad thing. It's the biggest event of the year at Lake Fork. So
we'll go to the Eastern first.
The Eastern Division,
because they just had a tournament.
Is this the finishes or the AOI?
That's AOI.
AOI. Okay. So this is the Angler of the Year after the third event. So there's one event left, and we told you guys, you have a bad day, you probably ain't gonna make it, because Scott Martin's got himself in a little bit of a bind now. Angler of the Year standings: Patrick Walters, number 1; Joshua Stragner, number 2; Pat Schlopper, number 3; Scott Martin, number 4.
So Walters is on the Elite Series.
Mm-hmm.
Strachner is not. So he's sitting in third with Timmy Tompkins, fresh on
and Justin Atkins. Who's an MLF
guy.
So Scott Martin slips any at all in the last event. And listen, he don't have to have a bad day. He can go out and have a good tournament.
Yeah.
He might go out and finish 15th and drop to 6th and be out and just be done.
So tight. What's that what's that old game show? You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
He had his bad day. It was at the last Open on Cherokee. He had his bad day. And he might actually be one of the only guys that ever have a bad day in the Opens and still qualify. And that's a testament to how good he's been the rest of them. Mm-hmm. But he's got to do it at this last event now. If he has he's got to be up there. To make sure he's in there, he needs a top 5 finish.
What is that, Lake or is that Louisville?
It's Lay. Louisville's the Central.
Louisville Central.
Louisville Central.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, to make sure he makes it, he needs a top 5. That's not easy to do. No. And Lay Lake's a tough fishery, man.
We got one more to solidify my spot. All I got to do is top 5 and a field of anglers that catch them.
Yeah, and you got Bobby Lane Jr., who's in 9th. Golly, man.
It's crazy.
And then Castledine, he's down in 20th. He's out. Jason Christie fell all the way down to 22nd. He's out in the East. I will look at the Central in a minute. But Jason Christie has fallen out of contention in the East.
Obviously, IE.
Unless Christie IE. Christie with a Y still ain't caught a fish. Last we checked. Christie IE.
This just in.
Yeah. Newsflash. Christie IE. He's in 20. I guess maybe, if he won.
Yeah.
Maybe he could get in if everything fell into place.
Yeah.
But he certainly is not in control of his own destiny.
You're still banking on a lot of people to have a bad tournament, even with a win.
Yeah.
Which makes it...
Well, not necessarily a bad tournament, but
Or not great tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's it. The rest of them, there's nobody else. Latimer has moved up. He has recovered some, but he's in 46th. He's out. He's still, he had that first bad tournament he just got too far behind 8 ball. He did move himself up into 46th place after the last 2 events, but that first tournament killed him. It's a shame. It is a shame.
How much patience do you think sponsors are going to have for him to make another run next year?
I think he's fine because of what he does on social media. His sponsors are getting more bang for their buck out of his social media work than they do his tour work.
So
I can tell you that for sure. Being inside the business, I can tell you for sure his sponsors are making more money off of his social media content than they are his tournament performance.
Which is great for him because he's a straight up
much more stable.
Yeah, he's
now. I just said how Jason Christie fell out of contention in the East.
He's still relevant in the Central.
He ain't relevant, son. He's leading. He's winning the Central with Lake Louisville left. Jason Christie will do fine on Lake Louisville. He's from Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. He's from South Oklahoma. That ain't very far.
Nah.
He knows that area. He knows the lakes in the area. He'll be comfortable. I predict Jason Christie.
It goes back to what we were saying. Does he know at this time of year?
Yeah. He still can't mess up.
Right.
He still can't mess up. But he's in the driver's seat controlling his own destiny in the Central.
You see, the top 10 gets him in.
Daryl Gleason.
Come on.
Daryl Gleason, fishing guy from Toledo Bend, one of our own Texas guys, is in second right now. So Daryl Gleason might be making it to the Elite Series. Lee Livesey is actually in third. He's already on the Elite Series, but hey, just a testament to Lee.
That's right.
And how good he is. Brandon Palaniuk is in 5th. He's already there. Greg Hackney is falling down to 8th. So right now, Greg Hackney's not qualified. And he's an MLF guy that I think was trying to qualify. I think he was
too.
Nobody knows, but we think he was.
I mean, when I talked to him yesterday, I mean,
when you talked to him yesterday? Yeah. Our normal Saturday phone call.
Yeah, I mean, we met up at IHOP yesterday.
Right.
You know.
You got to flipping a jig.
Yeah, we
got to flipping a jig. Got to talking.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Catching some hog legs,
Yeah. So Hackney's in 8th. He's still within reach. If he sacks him up at Louisville, and Hackney's got a great track record in the state of Texas too, so we'll see about that one. Who's next? That's interesting. You know who right behind him in 9th is this guy that maybe not everybody knows that's watching this. There's a gentleman named James Biggs in 9th. James is from DFW, so Louisville is a lake that he definitely has a leg up on, no doubt about it. James has actually qualified before, but the way tournament fishing goes on that next level, financially it wasn't really a very viable option. And I don't know the whole story. I don't know James personally. But if I remember, the rumors were basically that he wasn't getting the sponsor back he had hoped to get. And it was just so expensive to go fish that tournament, to go fish that upper trail. And this was a good probably 6, 7, 8 years ago. Mm-hmm. But James has been one of the best fishermen in the DFW area for a long time. Long time.
I don't know how much y'all know about those DFW lakes. They fish a lot different than what we're used to.
Well, than east. Yeah, you get over there to that Dallas area, and they do start changing.
It's different.
Mm-hmm.
I fished a few this year.
But James is one that I definitely want to keep an eye on. He's a guy that I'll pull for. He's a really, really good guy. Mm-hmm. And, man, he's one heck of a fisherman. He has been in this area for a long time. A lot of you guys are going to well know who James Biggs is. Mm-hmm. Clark Ream is in 15th.
Clark Ream?
I don't know. That's going to be a tough road to hoe for old Clark, man.
Yep.
Now, he used to be on the Elite Series back in the day. Justin Atkins is in 17th in this division.
It's called the Dallas Fork.
What, Louisville?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I thought Ray Roberts was the one called the Dallas Fork. The Dallas Funk. It's called the Dallas Funk.
Oh, I think you said the Dallas Fork.
The other lakes.
Oh, that's funny.
Parker Benish said he just subscribed. Man, we appreciate that, Parker. Thank you very much. So that kind of tops out the interesting ones that I see right here off the just at first glance here. There's some other guys that were fishing this that are kind of.
You sure you didn't miss Christie with a Y?
Out of contention. Yeah, we didn't miss Christie with a Y. We didn't get that far down the list. Okay. Scott Martin's in 44th in this one, so I don't think he's coming through in the Central.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to work out.
How do you think Scott Martin
and Todd Castledon's in 63rd on this one?
Yeah, that's tragic.
And Brian Latimer's in 67th.
Yeesh.
Yeah, those guys are all out of it. Man, that's tough. There's a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys. Now, I guess here's a question we can ask. Todd Castledon, who's in 20th in the East, let's say Todd does not qualify for the Elite Series. Does Todd just go back to beating the brakes off everybody on the Texas Team Trail?
Yes.
Or does he go back to FLW, or does he go back and do the Opens again?
I mean, I think he's definitely got a big enough social media following to be financially sound, I believe.
Well, I think Todd's made enough money.
Right.
For those that don't know, Todd Castledon made more money fishing
Triple T,
Bass Champs and Texas Team Trail, and just every trail like that.
Yeah.
He made enough money over the last 15 years. He's probably okay. He made as much money as he made more money than the vast majority of guys on the Elite Series.
Oh,
fishing
sure. Mm-hmm.
Local stuff. But he was just him and Russell Cecil. They were so dominant in all those team events, man. I mean, they won so much.
I watched a video not too long ago of a tournament on Rayburn where they put a freaking whooping on them.
Oh, yeah.
And walked it.
Well, it was like, I think the first couple of years of the Texas Team Trail, they were like winning everything. They were Angler of the Year, man. They were just killing it. And then they do good in Bass Champ. They do good in all the everything. And then every little Outlaw series and all them tournaments they have down there in Rayburn, which the Outlaw series is now. I don't know what all they had back then, but every little trail that they have on Rayburn, which same thing. They got trails there every weekend on Rayburn, just like they do on Fork. And Todd and Russell were winning all of them.
Oh yeah, I mean it's just like you guys that fish media bass and stuff like that. Like you see the same names at the top of the list.
Yeah, but Todd Castledon and Russell Cecil were the most dominant.
Correct.
team tournament pair
That's what I'm saying.
that we've seen over the
Correct.
last 20 years.
That's what I'm saying. That's what these guys were to everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were dominant.
Dominant.
Very dominant. All right, let's answer some questions, and then we're going to roll into Did He Do It?
Did he do it? I don't know, did he?
Do you think these MLF guys fishing the Opens are going to bail if they qualify? Well, right now, there's not really any of them qualified except for Jason Christie. I think the guys that are fishing both, I think the guys that are fishing the Central and the East, I think they're trying to qualify. And I think they're trying to bail. So I think if Christie qualifies, which it looks like he will, I think he's a Bassmaster again.
And I think also if it's a guy that's just fishing one division, I think it's a qualify and then weigh my options.
I think, like with Hackney, I don't know that he's trying to qualify and go back to Bassmaster or not. It's liable to be possible that Hackney is just fishing the Opens because Hackney likes to fish tournaments.
Yeah.
Like, that literally might be what's happening. Because he's only fishing the Central. He's not fishing the East.
That's an argument that I've also, had with several other people. Hey, some of these guys that are MLFers, maybe they just miss fishing Big 5 tournaments. Maybe.
Not even fishing Big 5 tournaments. They don't care. Just fishing tournaments. Like,
right.
Maybe they do care, maybe they don't. I don't know. But I don't think that's necessarily the deal. I think these guys that ascend to the very top of the bass fishing world,
right.
They're like every other athlete and sports guy ever.
They just love the game.
To get to that level and be the best in the world at something, they are absolutely obsessed with that game.
Mm-hmm.
And especially this year being what it was and everything else, like, I think some of them are just fishing because they just want to fish more tournaments. They're addicted to it. They're obsessed with it.
I agree. I don't know. I still think, and I've said it in previous podcasts, I still think we're going to see a mass exit next year.
You mean after this next year, after their contracts are up?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a lot of this.
I think it's just one of them deals. You just don't know until you know. Because I'll tell you this. You'll see that, and maybe Jason Christie does leave. Mm-hmm. And if Jason Christie leaves, does MLF go, hey, Brian Latimer, who didn't qualify for Jack, would you like an invitation to fish the MLF? Because you got a big social media following, and you're a heck of an angler.
Mm-hmm.
And then does Brian Latimer go?
Yeah.
Does he go if he gets that option? Todd Castledine is one they might invite. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if they would invite Todd or not, but they could theoretically.
They would obviously want to target people with big followings. You would imagine.
Well, and they got to have a track record. And Todd maybe not. He doesn't have the track record on the Elite Series, but Todd definitely has a long stand. Like people inside tournament bass fishing know well.
You know what his name is, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
No doubt about it. So.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really hard question to answer. I think there's some that are and there's some that aren't necessarily. We just won't know. And then, of course, after next season, when their contract's in and they got to redo things, who knows what'll happen? There's really no way of knowing.
I'll tell you this, MLF is not afraid to put on another sideshow as well.
No, they're good at sideshows. Shout out for Trump. I don't think he's watching, but hey, shout out to you, Donald Trump.
Donald, Billy doesn't know I called you earlier. I didn't talk to Trump and Hackney.
It's been a good day.
It's been a pretty good day.
It's been a good day. Just a normal day in the life of Chris Blackman, right?
That's right.
You want to do Did He Do It? I'm ready to do Did He Do It. This ought to be great.
Come on.
Let's do. You want to explain Did He Do It?
So what we're going to do is we're going to come up with 3 scenarios, okay? One of them's going to be absolutely true.
2 of them are going to be true.
Or 2 of them are going to be true, I'm sorry. 2 are going to be true, one's going to be a fib, and we're going to have to...
It's basically like one of those couple shows, like those married couple shows,
right.
where you see how well you know each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what me and Blackman are doing right now.
That's right.
We're going to see how well we know each other because I'm going to tell him 2 truths and a lie, and he's going to tell me 2 truths and a lie. And we're going to see if we can get it right.
Hey, y'all feel free to chime in too. Did we do it? So...
That's right. And yeah, as we're going through these, tell me which ones y'all think are not true. All right.
And these are all fishing related because we can't go too far off the rails.
Yeah.
So...
We'll see where it goes.
Yeah, right.
We'll see where it goes.
Right.
I'm not making any promises one way or the other.
So do you want to do it?
The first round's definitely going to be fishing related.
So do you want to do one where you say whatever?
I'm going to tell you my 3, and you're going to try to figure out which one's a lie.
Okay.
All right. Let me think about this. Did he do it? I had them all lined up earlier. Now I kind of forgot them.
You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
I am the weakest link. I remember one of them that I had lined up for you. All right. So I drive to Toledo Bend. It's the beginning of a multi-day trip. Gonna be there for 4 or 5 days. I don't remember exactly how many days. But I pulled into the parking lot, and I was meeting some guys that evening, but I was the first one there, so I was by myself the first day. And I just drove straight to housing, and I launched. And I drove my boat and ran around and idled way back off. And in Toledo Bend, you might idle for an hour and a half. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And I get out, and it's spring of the year. It's time to go fishing. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to go. This looks like a good spawning area. It's got a good channel in the mouth of it. And I'm going to go all the way back in the back of this thing, and I'm going to go sight fishing because you know I love sight fishing. So I idled all the way back here. I'm sitting down. And, man, I've been driving all morning, had breakfast that morning and all that, right? I get all the way to the back of this creek, get in this little narrow area. I get up to start fishing. I mean, as soon as I get up and start moving around, stomach starts talking to me. So I spent like an hour plus getting back in here, right? And now I'm going to put my trolling motor down, grab a rod, and I got to go. Like, and it's a long way back to anywhere that I can get off the boat to do this. So I'm in the back of that creek, and I got no choice. And I just had to hang it off the side of the boat and let it rip tater chip. You know, no big deal. You do it, you wipe, throw it. I know it's littering, but you throw it in the water. Is what you're going to do. Put poopy paper back in your boat.
It's biodegradable.
Right. But yeah, I bought biodegradable. Sure. Anyways, so now I'm in this little narrow creek that I pulled in to look for bedfish, and it's covered in crap. Literal crap. And toilet paper. And so now I've got to idle all the way back out and go to a different creek. So that's one.
Okay.
Oh, man, I had these picked up.
I'm going to have to watch my mouth when I tell mine. I just realized.
Yeah, you are. You got to be careful with what you're saying here.
Yeah. I always feel like there's just somebody at YouTube just sitting here watching us.
You're
and
waiting.
they hit the demonetized button and they're like, say it.
It's a little thing called an algorithm that'll get you, is what it is.
That's right.
Guarantee we've been probably kicked off YouTube at this point with the Trumps that we've said tonight.
Oh.
All right. Number 2 is I'm fishing a tournament back in the day before I was guiding, and we are catching a ton of fish, but it's a Lake Fork tournament. It's a big bass event, and you got to catch that right fish that's just under the slot, right? Because you can't keep anything between 16 and 24, so you got to catch one that's like 15 3/4 inches. And we were catching, I mean, we probably caught 50 or 60 fish this morning in the first few hours. We're whacking them. But the best weigher we got that's under the slot's like a 180. One not going to do you any good in an hourly tournament. Well, my partner finally hooks up on one that is as tall as she is long. And it's like looking at her, when you've been measuring them all day, you know. And this fish is perfect. And right as the fish gets to the boat, I go to reach down and scoop it with the net, and I miss, and I hit the fish and knock it off the net. And now this was after all day of fishing, and this was towards the end of the day. So we fished all day, didn't get any check cashers that day, and we had one that would have won an hour in this tournament because there weren't a lot of overs get weighed in. And I knocked it off with the net right at the boat. That's number 2. Now.
Oh, man, I've done that before.
Have you?
Yes. Yeah, I've been that guy. So go ahead.
Number 3 is my first year of guiding. No, it wasn't my first year. It was like my second year of guiding. Anyway, I get some customers, and this customer gets in my boat, and we've been fishing for about an hour, and he starts talking politics. And this is when Obama was in office. So it may have been, it was like right at the end of the Obama reign. And he starts talking politics, and it turns out that he is a blue, bleeding, straight up and down liberal.
Yeah.
And he's from Missouri. He came all the way down from Missouri, him and his buddy, to fish. And his buddy's not, but he's a liberal. And I talked to him for about 30 minutes about politics, and I get a real good feel for where his beliefs are. And without me saying anything to him, I strapped all the equipment back down on the boat, acted like we were moving spots, and I went back to the ramp and kicked him off my boat.
Did he do it?
Which one of those is not true, Han? Pooping and messing up my hole on Toledo Bend after driving for 4 hours? What was the second one?
The second one was
knock the fish off. Knock the money fish off at the boat with a net, or took my liberal guide customer back to the ramp as soon as he told me he was liberal.
I'm going with the Poopy Cove.
That one's not true?
Not true.
Nope, the liberal customer's the one that's not true.
Golly! Man, okay, so I know enough about
Somebody got it. Chris. Somebody named Chris got it. He said third.
That's good. I just know you well enough to know that a political argument would lead to dead
Gary
stop.
Payne says you did not kick the golf boat.
Yeah, that's what I mean, I believe you would do that.
I didn't kick him off the boat. You know what I did? And that part of that's real because that really did. I've had exactly one liberal customer, like for sure liberal customer, and he brought up politics. You know, I never bring that up.
Yeah.
He brought it up unless I know I agree with somebody, then I'll bring it up.
Right.
He brought it up and he starts talking about his liberals, and I literally sat there and argued with him for the entire day. Like, I did. I mean, he never.
You have got to be the most left-wing liberal. Need a nap?
Yeah. Yeah. Let me hook that fish for you, bud.
Hey,
but
man, that's a great catch, but I still can't. But your healthcare ideals suck.
Yeah.
Like, that's funny.
Obama's a worthless piece. This is where I gotta watch my language.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Well, Well, hopefully you failed too, I guess.
All right, let's go. Give me your did he do it?
All right. So number one. This probably would have been 2000. We'll call it 2012, 2013-ish. Okay.
Y'all bear with us, Chris. And I know I just did too, and I'm
Land
bad about
plane,
it. Chris is a long storyteller.
Okay. So this is back when I had my Cobra.
Okay.
Okay. I was on. It was early spring. I was on some sight fish, and I'm trolling down the bank. You know, just looking for brown holes, or brown spots, and I see one, and it's big. I mean, she's real big, and all of a sudden, that Egg McMuffin done run right through me.
You got the same story?
Well, it's similar. And so I'm like, dude, I want to catch this fish, but I gotta go. I gotta go now. So I pull past this fish. I pull back in this little corner, back in Double Branch. You know what I'm talking about, by the tree.
Yeah.
Okay. I pull past the tree, beach my boat, and I hang off the side of the boat, do my business. I go back, end up catching the fish. It was like 7-8 pounds. It was a good fish. Well, I go to load my boat up that day, and I'm walking down, wiping down the side of it, and I realized I had a streak of crap down just past my gunnel and rub rail.
All right, that's number one. Pooped on his own boat. Let's go.
So number two.
At least I cleared the gunnel.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
No kidding. And so number two, I was at Lake Merville.
It's intimidating. You got to lean so far out there to clear it. It's intimidating.
And I don't know if any of y'all been in a Cobra before, but they're a little bit wider.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
all right, Merville. What happened to Merville?
Lake Merville. First time I ever been there. Well, the running lanes on Lake Merville are big old posts.
Yeah.
Sorry. See,
it's okay. We're just live.
Right. So they're big posts, and they got arrows on them, and you gotta pay attention to what you're doing. Well, I'm running down the lake, and then on the stretch of lake where I'm at, it's a big long straightaway from the dam.
It turns left.
And then it turns left pretty hard.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Pretty hard.
Real hard. It's 90 degrees.
Yeah. And so I look at my brother who was in the boat, and this was his first time in my boat. This is my skeeter.
Corey?
Yeah. And I told Corey, I said, hey, hang on. We're going to cut this one a little close. And I let off of it, and we probably made the turn going 30-ish. Okay. Well, I cut it just a little bit too hard, and Corey didn't pay attention to the rules of hang on. Apparently, hang on means something different to him. And so I made the turn. This dude comes unhinged from his seat and is sitting in my lap. And so I finally let off of it. The boat does a complete U-turn, and we come to a sliding stop against one of them running posts.
And you're with your brother in your lap?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. No damage to the boat, though?
No damage to the boat. Thank God. But
I hope you damaged your brother.
He hit his jaw on my elbow and thought he broke his jaw. So
Corey, man, we pick on his. Yeah. Poor Corey.
Yeah. Another tournament earlier this year. Me and Cameron were pre-fishing, and we found a pretty good wad of fish. We're catching them. Tournament day, my first 4 hook sets broke 4 rods in a row.
You broke 4 rods?
4 rods in a row. 4 hook sets.
Huh. Let's see.
And you're gonna have a hard time.
Which one? First, second, or third? Which one do you guys?
4 rods, 4 hook sets.
I want to see which one these guys think. That's a lot. I'm going number 2. Oh, Chris says third. You know, I'm gonna be honest with you. The third story had by far the least detail, and you said earlier this year.
How many rods have I tried to get from you this year?
You said earlier this year, though, but what I'm thinking is that if you broke 4 rods in one day, I would have well heard that story many times by now.
Why would I have told you that?
I'm saying that third is the one that's not true.
It's number 3.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah. Woo, let's go.
I done crapped down the side of my boat, and I almost broke my brother's jaw.
And your boat.
And my boat. And my boat. Yeah, because
somebody asked earlier, did he say he had a Cobra? Yeah, he used to have a Cobra bass boat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you didn't tell it because you know I know the story, but you got one of the greatest boating stories of all time with your ex-girlfriend in the boat with you.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think we've told that story before. We'll have to tell that one another
Yeah.
time. That's a great story.
Yeah, that one was just too long. You wanted me to land the plane,
I did want you to land the plane.
so I landed the plane.
Third, he ain't got the arms for that.
Yeah. This dude ain't never seen me set a hook.
Oh, my
I try to
goodness.
break rods when I set hooks.
Setting hooks on stumps will do that. Oh man, that was good. That was a good segment. I enjoyed that. I hope let us know. Everybody's guessing 3. Hey, you guys, let us know what you thought of Did He Do It?
Yeah.
We could definitely do another round of Did He Do It sometime.
Yeah, and we'll do the non-fishing edition next time. Because that's when it gets... Because you got to think, we know most of each other's fishing stories, for the most part.
Gareth Albert asks, are we both guides? He's new to this channel. No, Chris is not a guide. I'm a fishing guide. I'm Billy Lawson. I'm the Your Lake original, the OG Your Lake Fork guide. Of course, we got some other guys that work with us now. But no, Chris actually, he's part of the company. He helps us with our bookings. He helps us with my, booking stuff through the website. When you actually call to book a trip through us, for me or any of our other guys, Chris is the guy you talk to. You can text him, you can email him. He's the guy that talks to all you guys, whether you DM us on social media or whatever. So he helps us with that part of the business. He also, of course, helps with the podcast. And he's just one of my best friends. We used to work together before I was guiding at my old job. I actually trained Chris at the job he still has now. So we've just been really good friends for a long time. He's just my boy. And he loves bass fishing. And he used to go fishing with me all the time. And then I started guiding, and now he doesn't ever go fishing with me anymore.
Yep.
Because all you guys do.
That's right. That's right. Y'all look super young. I appreciate that.
Chris is kind of young. What are you, 30 now?
31.
31, and I'm 37. So we're not old, but we ain't young.
I just got into my prime.
If I got close enough to the camera, which I don't want to hurt, I don't want to monkey y'all up because I'm pretty ugly. But I actually do have quite a bit of gray in this beard starting to pop up.
Yeah, what he's saying is iPhones are expensive and those cameras are high dollar.
That's right. You sure right. Bill, what do I need to throw in the morning on Caddo? Frog, yeah, frog for sure. I would definitely be throwing a frog. I mean, I wouldn't fish it much different than I'm fishing fork up shallow. I mean, the whole lake's shallow.
It's typically a lot more stained than most lakes too, correct?
No, not really. It has tannic water in a lot of it,
gotcha.
Which does look darker, but it's clear.
The visibility is
It's like a tea color, like a brown color water,
Gotcha.
but it's got a lot of visibility to it, It's not any dirtier per se than the other East Texas lakes are.
It just looks that way, I guess.
Yeah, when you look at it, it looks brown, but then
Right.
you put your bait in the water and you can see 2 foot down. It's weird, yeah. Yep, for sure. Hey, man, thank you guys so much for watching tonight. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up. This has been a really, really, really fun podcast. What type of lake is fork? I fish Tennessee lakes like Nickajack, Times Ford, Chickamauga, Guntersville. Chickamauga would be the one that would be the most comparable to Lake Fork. It's definitely a trophy bass fishery. Fish aren't easy to catch. But as far as trophy bass go, it's probably, arguably it's the best of all time based on the data that's been recorded and the fish catches that have been recorded over time. Now, Chickamauga has been great the last few years, but all time, Fork's probably the greatest trophy bass fishery that we have in the United States, or in the world, really, I guess. But
what's the new one? Boat Ark?
That they're building?
Yes.
Boat Ark.
Yeah.
Boat Ark is coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Hey, man, like I said, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you guys so much. Always like to answer as many questions I can, but at some point, I got to go eat some dinner and go get ready for tomorrow's guide trip. And Chris has got to go back home, and he's got to get ready to go to his old regular working man job tomorrow. That don't taste good. How's that taste?
Not real great. Not like French fried taters.
Not like French fried taters. Hey, thank y'all so much for watching once again. We'll see you next time. Chris, do that thing you do.
Trump train. Woo-hoo!